about to start making the chorizo, mozzarella and gnocchi bake. I'm going to use about 750 grams of gnocchi. I've got 2 balls of mozzarella because they're absolutely tiny. When you feel them, there's hardly anything in there at all. So I've got 2 of those. I can always pop some on the top. I'm going to use some smoked paprika, 2 tins of chopped tomatoes. I've got this sliced chorizo because they didn't have any of the actual whole sausages in Lidl, but that's 120 grams, which is what you need anyway. And I've also got a couple of rashers of smoked bacon that need using up, so I'm going to pop those in. Got 1 onion, 2 cloves of garlic, and I'm also going to add in a red pepper. So I'm just going to chop up my veg and then get started. Right, so I've just put a little bit of rapeseed oil in my pan. So I'm just going to fry my onions, my garlic and my pepper until they've gone soft, which will probably take around 7 minutes. And I think I get asked every single video where my spatula's from. It's actually part of a carousel. It's a Joseph one. It is linked in the description box. You can get it on Amazon. Mine is a few years old now, but I absolutely love it. And the carousel sits on the side so that you don't have to clutter up your drawers with stuff. But I always get questions, so I'll show you the actual carousel. So this is the carousel I've got. It's got like a soup ladle, it's got a fish slice, it's got a pasta spoon, it's also got a slotted spoon and a smaller spatula, as well as the spoon I'm using, and they're in the wash at the moment. Dishwasher proof, and I just love it. And yeah, it just sits on the side out the way, but I get questions pretty much every video, so I thought I'd actually mention the fact that it is linked in the description box, along with a few other things that I use around the kitchen. My peppers and onions and garlic are beginning to soften, so I'm going to add in my chorizo. I've just chopped mine up with some scissors because it's the slices, otherwise I would have just chopped it up small with a knife. I'm also going to add my 2 pieces of bacon that need using up as well. And I'm going to give that probably another 5 minutes just until it's all cooked through. So my next step is to pop in my 2 tins of chopped tomatoes. I'm also going to season it with salt and pepper, and I'm going to add a teaspoon of smoked paprika, just give it a little bit more flavour. Black pepper. I'm going to mix that through. And then I'm also going to add in my gnocchi now. I've just got the dried gnocchi. You could use fresh. I'll pop those 2 in now. I'm not going to bother cooking it first because I'm going to let it cook in the tomatoes for another good 8 minutes. Then we're going to stir through some of our mozzarella and some fresh torn basil, and then we're going to pop it in a baking dish and put the rest of the cheese on top, and then I'm going to put it in the oven for a little while just to brown and continue cooking. That gnocchi is going to absorb all that tomato juice, so what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to add half a tin of water that I've just rinsed out the tomato tin with, because that gnocchi is going to soak all that up. You can always add more salt or more smoked paprika if you like it. You could put some chili flakes in. Right, so once it's all been stirred through, I'm going to leave that now on a medium heat, so it's just bubbling but not boiling rapidly, for about 8 to 10 minutes, and then we will do the next step. So I will leave the original recipe link down below. It's actually a BBC Good Food recipe, and I was recommended this on Instagram by one of you guys. But the next step of the recipe is actually to add 1 teaspoon of sugar while your gnocchi is simmering. It just cuts through the acidity of the tomatoes. So it's up to you, you can leave it in or out, but it does help take away a little bit of that tartness. So after about 8 minutes, I'm going to transfer my gnocchi into a baking dish. And then I'm going to mix through 1 of the balls of mozzarella, so that's about 120 grams. Doesn't look it. And then I've saved the other ball to pop on the top. I've also got a small handful of torn fresh basil, so I'm going to mix that through as well. So I'm just going to mix that through. And that's all going to start to melt nicely. And what I'm going to do now is just put the rest of my mozzarella over the top. And then I'm going to pop this in the oven. Probably just going to take around 15, maybe 20 minutes, just until that cheese is nice and bubbling and brown. So here it is out of the oven. I've just topped it with some fresh basil, and now I'm just going to serve it up with some salad. Right, so I just served ours with some salad, and I put a little bit of sour cream on the top because we had chilies with ours, and then the boys had it served with garlic bread. So I will leave the original recipe link down below. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and subscribe if you're not already, and I'll be back really soon with another one. Take care, guys.